Well, we'll go. Okay,
Hello.
the press
Hello.
committee has filled out most of the spots here, so we're set.
So tell him what that scene is behind you, Jim.
Oh yeah, this is where we'll be next week. In Castiglio and Fiorentino.
So we might not see you next week. We'll put that on the sign up sheet.
Well, yeah, there's a chance that, but
We
it's
should
the
be-
afternoon over there, so it's not
So you might
so bad.
Right.
We might try and get in.
have finished the diving and had the margarita.
No, this is not a diving trip. This is strictly travel, and Chris has a writer's workshop to do. So
All right.
It's in Italy. We were hoping to
Yay.
have it at the same time that Paolo was there, but I don't think he will be. Is he
He's
there
going to be in
now?
the contest.
He's
Friday
coming
night.
back today.
He's flying back today.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought, that we were gonna be crossing.
You may see him in the airport. You never know.
Yeah.
He's the guy that looks Italian.
I'll tell you,
He's
the
the
jet
guy that
lag
sounds
this time,
Italian.
Yeah.
the jet lag this time has me just totally wasted. And because of COVID, we had all these trips nicely planned out, but because things got canceled and rescheduled, now they're all, so we were
Bunched
just in the
together.
Indian Ocean last week and we're going to be in Italy next week. And I don't know when I'm supposed to sleep.
All right. Good morning, all. It is 7 a.m. and that means it's time for our Earlybird Toastmasters meeting. I am Randolph Bastine, your Sergeant at Arms. The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, which results in greater self-confidence and personal growth. As we continue to meet by Zoom, we ask that you practice good Zoom etiquette by keeping yourself muted unless you are an active speaker. We encourage you to use the chat feature and send a message to everyone or a private message to the speaker. And now it is my honor to introduce to you our presiding officer for today, distinguished Toastmaster Kip Barkley.
Buongiorno. Buongiorno. Paolo is flying over here to the States from Italy to participate in the contest tonight. I will go look for a link to get us in to applaud. They will turn our cameras off when he's speaking, but he'll feel good to know we're here. We are here at Earlybird, and we should do self-introductions. Let me start with Jose, and then Alita, and then Randolph.
You want
Good
the word of
morning.
the day?
Oh, yeah. Went to all that trouble.
Second here. That's so quick. Let's see.
Kip,
The
should
word
we
of the-
do? How about the invocation?
Oh,
Yeah,
I
all of
haven't
that.
done this in a long time.
Okay.
Invoke.
Well,
Oh, well, we can do the word of the day first.
Yeah.
let's get this out of the way. Refractory,
Put it in the
stubborn
invitation.
and manageable as his refractory pony, resistant to a process or stimulus, some granule refractory to secretory stimuli. Oh boy, but try and use it if you can.
In reference to pathways, no problem. Thank you. Okay, now let us have our invocation and pledge.
Okay. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. This prayer is a prayer for change based in the Christian tradition after Psalms 1:3. In what we are about to do, let us be like trees planted by streams of water, which yield fruit in season, whose leaves do not wither, and who prosper in whatever we do. Amen. Please face the flag if we have it. I pledge allegiance, there it is, to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Back
Thank
to you,
you.
Mr. President.
All right, everybody be seated. But if somebody doesn't say that, we could have folks standing the entire meeting. Shocking. Okay, self-introductions. Let us start with Jose, Alita, and then Randolph.
I think we still have the joke.
Oh, that could come after introductions, but okay, give us a joke.
Gracious. Okay, you guys, let's get on the ball here. I want to tell you the story about the Flan brothers, Dan and Stan Flan. They were close in age, not even 2 years apart, but they were so close. They played together since they were little. And one of the things that they learned to do was to dance. They loved to dance ever since they were little. And then they went to school and they started going to the school dances, the middle school, the high school, the prom. And then after high school, they went out and they started going to all these public dance places. Had so much fun. They were good at it. But Stan was a little older and Stan started, well, drinking a little. And one Saturday night after a nice dance, Dan said to his brother Stan, you know, buddy, you've been imbibing a little bit much. Maybe you should not drive. And Stan says, no problem. I'm good to go. And off he went. Well, he didn't get too far until he crashed. And, you know, he didn't make it. Dan was just so sad about it all that he vowed that he was going to live his life righteous, turn around so that everything he did was good, so that when he went to heaven, he would be able to see his brother once again. And he did. He became a righteous man. He did everything by the book and was just a respectable person. And eventually, Dan did pass away. And as he got up to the pearly gates, St. Peter said to him, we are so happy to see you, Dan. And Dan says, oh, I've been waiting for this moment all of my life. I want to see my brother Stan again. And St. Peter says, oh, I'm sorry. I regret to inform you that Stan did not make it. He's actually down below. But since you have been such a righteous person, we are going to give you a 24-hour pass to get down to hell and see your brother Stan. But here, I'm going to give you this little heart, a little mirror, and that will be your pass, so that when you get back up here to heaven, you can get in again. So he was happy with that. And down he went to hell. Oh my God, it was horrible. It was smoky and smelly and dark and dank and all at the same time. It was a horrible place. But he's walking around and all of a sudden in the distance, he sees blinking lights. So he goes up to the blinking lights and the closer he gets, he realizes it's a dance hall. And so he goes in and who does he see? His brother Stan. And Stan said, I knew if there was a place to dance, you would find me. And so they spent, the next 24 hours. Dan said to Stan, hey, do you come here often? And Stan says, I own the place. Well, they danced the next 23 and a half hours or so and then said their goodbyes. And Dan Flan went back to heaven. And when he got there, St. Peter asked him, you know, how was it? He's like, wait. Oh no. Oh no. And St. Peter says, now wait a second, Dan. You know, we had a musician, Mel Tillis. He had the same problem. He could stutter when he talked, but he could sing. So maybe if you can sing what you're trying to tell me. And Dan said, I left my harp in Stan Flan's disco.
Thank you so much, Alita. As we recover from that, let's start self-introductions with Jose. Yeah, I guess we got to do Alita anyway. And then Randolph.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, and wake up over here. It's already 1:08 in the afternoon, and the refractory rains just are not giving up. They happen to come every Wednesday, and they hang out for a day or two. Then we get a couple of nice days, and then it starts raining again. It's an awful, awful spring over here. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. There are so many refractory members of Toastmasters and other organizations who refuse to tie into this Zoom platform, and they're losing out. I think Zoom is here to stay, so let's get with it. I'm Alita Richmond, coming to you from cold, very cold, was in the low 20s this morning, Southwest Pennsylvania. So happy to be here. Back to you.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. All welcome guests. I am Randolph Bastine from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I am Motivational Strategies Level 2 Refractory. I think it has its place and time for sometimes there's a good time to be, you need to be a little stubborn and unmanageable. And then there's other times we just need to be at peace with everybody. Thank you. Back to you.
Excellent. Let's do three more. Anna and Chris and Val.
Good morning, Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. My name is Anna Ilsen. I'm in Innovative Planning Level 3 and Engaging Humor Level 3. Now I finally know why my science teacher in high school kept talking about refractory glass in the lab. Never bothered to find out what he was talking about. Mr. President.
Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, I'm Toastmaster Chris Gould, just returned from the Maldives on a wonderful dive trip and on our way to Italy next week. And my body is being very refractory in adjusting to time zones. I don't remember falling asleep last night. I was just out at 7 o'clock, and I can't figure this out, and I just have to just go with it, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. President and Toastmasters. As an experiment, my son planted a kudzu plant at the rear of our yard, and it has been refractory in its growth.
Thank you. Thank you. Three more. Jim Gould, Tom, and Carmine.
Mr. Presiding Officer, fellow Toastmasters, I am competent Toastmaster Jim Gould, and it has been a lot of travel and a lot of fun. I did 28 dives in 10 days. That's a lot. And I am an iron diver. I have a certificate up on the wall that says so. And we'll be going to Italy and be saying buongiorno all the time, at least for a month. We hope to be joining here. I will be leaving momentarily. I have some doctor's appointments to do in this short interim and hope things are not refractory. Mr. Toastmaster.
Mr. Toastmaster. Honored guest. My name's Tom Quinn here in Fort Lauderdale. Refractory or refectory? Stubborn or eat? Doesn't matter to me which, because I could fill the bill on both of them, Mr. President.
Excellent. Carmine.
Good morning, Mr. President, Fellow Toastmasters, spiritual brothers and sisters, I assume the word of the day is refractory. I was a little late this morning. I was having some refractory issues going on in my life. And know what I've come to conclusion now, just listening to a few comments about refractory. Life itself is refractory. There is no perfection. That's a grand illusion. Grand illusion. I get all of this stuff and it'll be perfect. And then the roof leaks. I get all of this perfect car that I want. Then I got to change the tires. I get this perfect relationship. And then there are qualities about the other person that I never saw before because I was refractory with my eyesight. So what is the lesson? The lesson is keep on keeping on because it just gets more refractory.
Thank you so much. And I am Kip Barkley, distinguished Toastmaster, been doing this since 1990. After this fine meeting, I'm wandering off to our old Denny's and see if they still know what a skillet is. I miss the good old days. My arteries are not bulging like they used to. Okay, announcements. I will dig out some kind of login for Friday night's humorous speech contest. Paolo will be in it. He would love it for us all to show up. And I'll go see where that is. What else? I think that's it. In 2 weeks, we're coming up on our Tall Tales meeting. So keep that in mind, where we tell anything but the truth. They're fun. They're ridiculous. But let's get on to our regular meeting here. And our Toastmaster of the day, Anna Ilsen.
Thank you, Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Toastmaster meetings throughout the world are made up of 3 parts. The first part is table topics, where we practice impromptu speaking. The second part are the formal speeches, which we have 2 today. And then the third part, and many people consider this the most important part of Toastmasters, are the evaluations, where we lovingly hold up a mirror to the speakers and let them know where they excelled, what areas need work, and how they can improve their public speaking. We have helpers to make this meeting run smoothly. So, Madam Grammarian, would you please tell us what your duties are? Alita, you're muted.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. In addition to giving the word of the day, the grammarian will listen for the use of good language and note improper, offensive language without really putting anybody on the spot too much. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Madam Grammarian. The yacht counter, which is me today, is responsible for noting the speaker's verbal pauses, that is the ahs, ers, you knows, likes, etc. The offenders will be reported at the end of the meeting. That's it for the yacht counter. We have a timer, which is Toastmaster Jose Ferrer. He has raised his hand and is at the top left-hand corner of the screen for easy identification. And we'll wave at him at this time. With that, I will turn the meeting over to our topic master of the day, who I believe is distinguished Toastmaster Kip Barkley.
Yes, it most certainly is. Table topics, or I call with off-the-wall questions and see what we can get back as a response. But we have timing for this too. Mr. Timer, what are the timing requirements?
Yes, my fellow Toastmasters, for table topics, the time is between 1 and 2 minutes with a 30-second deviation only at the end in order to qualify. So I will turn the green background at 1 minute. I'll turn the amber at 1 minute and 30 seconds, the red at 2 minutes, and then I'll start flashing red at 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Back to you, Mr. Presiding
Thank you
Officer.
so much. So, theme today will be leadership. Yes, some people are cut out for it, perhaps, and some people aren't. Well, have you ever been dragged into a leadership role? Toastmaster Carmine Tuso, unmute.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. I'm a terrible leader. A terrible leader. I am a facilitator, and there's a tremendous difference between a facilitator and a leader. A leader has a group and delegates. A facilitator supports, encourages, and invites participation. A leader delegates. I have found that most leaders are people who have tremendous egos, and other people who want to be part of that love to be obedient and get pats on the back or pats on the head for you. Good job, good job. And what I find is that there's a loss of individuality. So we have a nation, and it probably looks like the world itself has become a nation of sheep. Everybody thinks that if I follow the rules, I'll get a pat on the head, a pat on the back. And they lose their soul, their unique, talented individuality. And one of the things I've learned, and especially now at 85, is that that's the most important thing. The rest is just fluff. It's all refractory stuff. God bless you all. And that's the difference between a leader and a facilitator.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Tuso. You brought up another role, obedience. That's interesting to me, too. Are you given to excessive acts of obedience? Becky Jo Bean, unmute. Turn your camera on.
Oh, you are funny, Toastmaster Barkley. Am I given to excessive acts of obedience? Yeah, no, never. No, no, not me. Never. I haven't been, since I've been a little kid, I haven't been compliant. I got all the third grade girls to skip school and run away. I got arrested when I was 5 for shoplifting. I always run on the other side of the rules. I don't know, as I've slowed down, I'm a little less rambunctious and overt about it, but pretty much if you tell me to go right, I'm going to go left. I'm just going to go left. It just seems like I want to do it my way. And I think it has something to do with the curl in the middle of my forehead. Mr. Topic Master.
Thank you so much, Becky Jo. All this leadership talk, what do you think of leadership? Val, you want to unmute, take a pass at this?
Thank you, Mr. President. I think leadership is overrated. I think being responsible for a task and for people is an awesome challenge. And the people are often refractory, which makes it even more of a challenge to take a mission and try to lead people to achieve that mission. Because when you have a group of people, if you were to ask each one, it is amazing how they interpret what the mission of their assignment is. If you have 100 people, you probably have 100 different definitions of what the mission is and where they're going, and probably 50 different definitions of how to get there. So I think leadership is really a challenge in terms of trying to achieve a mission and in trying to get people to follow. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you. Well, I've heard there's such a thing as formal leadership training. Does that do any good? Mr. Quinn, unmute.
Oh, my word. Yes, leadership training. There was a time several years ago when I was asked. Actually, I really wasn't asked. I was over at Denny's eating my breakfast, and some curmudgeon stood up talking about roles that were essential for this club. And one of the most important roles, he suggested, it needed to be filled by a dedicated, industrious, loyal, hardworking individual, was that of secretary. And he looked at me and he said, "Quinn, you have nice legs. You'd make a good secretary." So I sat there in the middle of my ham and eggs and said, "Whoa, okay." I was new to this club, new to the experience of Toastmasters, but looking forward to being a good, loyal, faithful secretary. Well, would you know that within a month or so, we were trained. We had to go over to the, I believe it was Broward, someplace in Broward County, in class together, my mentor and myself. And there was this lovely lady that was teaching the roles of secretary. And I was told a certain thing. I nudged him. I said, "Wait a second. We don't do that." "Shh, don't tell him." Up to another point. We don't do that either. And we went through about 4 or 5. And then I discovered that this was really an opportunity to become good friends with this particular crazy person, because I'm of a similar refractory mode. And I've enjoyed it ever since. Thank you very much, Dr. Barkley.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, some people have a style of leading from the rear. Have you ever seen this, Toastmaster Ilson? Unmute.
Mr. Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Leading from the rear. It's become very prevalent in political talk in some TV channels. Leading from the rear. It's sort of reacting. Same as reacting. Something happens, I react. Something happens, I react. Instead of taking the initiative and being a true leader. Whether it's effective or refractory, that I don't know. The last few years have not proven to be very productive in terms of leading from the rear, but it's a strategy. And so I'll leave it to the experts, the military experts, to lead from the rear. I personally, and the things that I get involved in, I like to work behind the scenes and not take a very visible role and get things accomplished that way. So it's different styles of leadership, I guess. Thanks for the question. That was interesting.
Thank you. Thank you. That's enough of table topics, I guess. Well, Jose, how did our people do? What's the timing?
Well, I'm very happy to announce that everybody qualified. Carmine at 1 minute 45, Becky Joe 1 minute 4, Val 1 minute 16, Tom at 2 minutes 7, and Anna at 1 minute 18. Back to you.
Excellent. If we have a poll, we can go vote. There's a poll. These people are good. Vote for the person you think did the best job with the table topics here. Okay, I return control of this program back to our Toastmaster of the day, Anna Ilson.
Thank you, Mr. Topic Master. That was excellent. Okay. We will recess the meeting to confirm speakers, general evaluator, and timer. So we'll break for what, 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Timer, could you set the clock for 3 minutes? Thank you.
Let's see who runs for coffee. My panel, are you guys all ready for this? This is gonna be fun here. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And general evaluator, he's of course checking that we have evaluators. While he was looking the other way, people seem to get into that job. I think we got Jose evaluating Tom Quinn, and Tom Quinn evaluating the panel operation.
That's correct.
We went through the timing for the panel. We'll go 12 minutes, 8 to 10, 12 for the panel discussion, and then have a Q&A of 5 to 7 at the end, unless we've really run over and blown up the time. That's all I know. Get that coffee. My coffee chef is not here. It's very tragic in my house. I'm going to make up for it.
Minutes
Okay.
have gone by.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. Okay, let's call the meeting back to order.
All right.
Before we introduce the speakers, Mr. Timer, would you tell us what the timing requirements are for these speeches?
Absolutely. For the 5 to 7, I'm sorry, for Tom Quinn, the first speaker, he's going to be delivering a 7-minute speech. I will turn the green light at 5, the amber at 6, and the red at 7, and I will start flashing at 7:45. That's the maximum time allowed. For Kip, who is the second speaker, he's going to be doing a panel, which will be a 12-minute panel. So I will put the green light on at 8, the amber at 10, and at 12, I'll start the red and flash shortly thereafter. And the question and answer session right after his panel speech will be a 7-minute question and answer session. So it will be at 5 minutes, it will be the green, at 6, the amber, and at 7, the red. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Timer. Our first speaker is speaking from the Pathway Dynamic Leadership, Level 1, Project 2, Introduction to Vocal Variety Only. It's his revised tribalism speech from last week after being evaluated. He has a cat and he also has a dog. This talk is not about them. Well, maybe it's not all about them. The title of his speech is It You or Is It Me? Please welcome Toastmaster Tom Quinn.
Bless your heart. Thank you so much. This is a great opportunity for me to take a piece of work that I've done, get criticized on it, and polish it up and then represent it. I do have a dog and I do have a cat. The cat was up here a little bit earlier and you may have seen the cat as he was in the screen and then jumping all over the place. My dog, he's sort of lazy and laid back, but I'm not here to talk about the dog or the cat. I'm here to revise and to give a rework of a speech that I gave, as I said, about 2 weeks ago. I'm going to talk about 3 people. Eli Parker is one. Robert Hunter Biden is the second, and Julia Murphy. You may have remembered me talking about Eli Parker. You certainly, if you pay any attention to the news, know about Robert Hunter Biden, but none of you know about Julia Murphy. These 3 individuals represent to me different areas of tribalism as I understand it to be. The definition of tribalism is being overly loyal to one's own group, to the prejudice of others. Eli Parker, if you might remember, was an Indian born in northern New York in 1828. Short story about Eli Parker. He got an engineering degree, worked on the Erie Canal. In Galena, Illinois, he met a guy by the name of Ulysses Grant. They became friends. Parker, even though he was an Indian, served with Grant as a member of his staff. And at the end of the war, wrote the Declaration of Surrender between the North and the South. Part of Parker's history, what was interesting to me, is he read for the law. But in New York, since he was an Indian, the New York bar would not allow an Indian to become a member. He wasn't a white person. He was an Indian. As a result, Parker went on in his life, became an excellent engineer, and was an outstanding, in my opinion, individual. Robert Hunter Biden, born in 1970, went to Yale Law School and graduated in 1996. In 2013, he became a member of the US Navy. He was dismissed from the Navy in 2014. He became an undiscovered artist and sold paintings in 2021. I'm just sticking to facts. These are facts about this individual. And you can make your own conclusions whether or not he was within the envelope of protective tribalism as he's led his life, and it continues to do that. The most important person to me, though, my talk this morning, is Julia Murphy. Julia Murphy was born by the turn of the 1800s in Nebraska. She was hired to become a school teacher here in Broward County in 1915. So she moved from Nebraska to be a teacher here in Fort Lauderdale. And when she arrived here, the local people found out she was a Catholic. A Catholic? We don't have no Catholics teaching in the Broward County School. There was an election that was held at the Rex Theater. she was fired. She never had a chance to teach at that point. Later on, in the mid-20s, yeah, she wound up teaching for the Broward County School. The point I want to make it to you is tribalism affects all of us in one way or another. Is it you or is it me? Is it beneficial or is it not? My cat uses tribalism because he is a cat to his own benefit, and he doesn't give a hoot what's in anyone's way. You saw that earlier when he was jumping all over my lap. My dog, he's laid back. He doesn't much care, just feed him, walk him, give him water. It works for him. What works for you? Is it you or is it me? Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Quinn, for that very interesting speech. Please write your comments to Toastmaster Quinn in the chat. Our next speaker, let me find the intro. Okay. Is working from Visionary Communication Path, Level 5, elective, which is moderate a panel discussion. Club elections are coming. Who wants to step up? Our presenter is doing this level 5 project. 3 club leaders will share their experiences, positive and negative, of leading at Earlybirds. Our panel members are Toastmaster Alita Richmond, Toastmaster Randolph Bastine, and Toastmaster Chris Gould. The title of the speech is Doing the Club Officer Thing. Please welcome distinguished Toastmaster Kip Barkley.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Ilson. Yes, I'm showing you all how to do yet another level 5 project. It's not that hard. Well, because I got other people to do the talking. I'm just a panel leader. I joined Toastmasters in 1990 to speak, and they were pestering me about leadership. And I said, I'm already a leader. Leave me alone. I want to go speak. They asked me to be area director so many times, they stopped asking. But 20 years later, when I said yes, they didn't even hear me. Like, what? But that was me. I am curious about Alita Richmond. Why did you join Toastmasters? Unmute.
Toastmaster Barkley and other Toastmasters. I think I told you mostly about how I walked into the Denny's back room early in 1980s, or the late 1980s, as a research project for my attorney boss who wanted me to check out Toastmasters. And I was so impressed with the whole organization and how nice it flowed, plus everybody was so inviting. Tall Neil McLaren, but I was just so impressed with it. I figured, what the heck? My boss doesn't need this, I need this. And so I joined because I needed it.
Great. I'm curious how this is. Other people got here too. Randolph, how'd you get here?
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Kip Barkley and fellow Toastmasters. Toastmasters, I became interested by listening to some podcasts. A lot of them mentioned a club called Toastmasters, and also also with work, when I took on a role of sales rep role, I had to go out and speak to people, so I needed to develop my communication skills. And I was told that that's a great club to join for that. And so it was based on hearing those things. I wanted self-development, and I wanted to become a better communicator. And that's the whole of why I joined. And it's been awesome since. I still do have a lot of learning to do. And the biggest thing I would say is probably just getting all the lessons that we learn in Toastmasters to just become more of just like a second nature, where I don't have to so much think about it before, displaying the things that I learned.
All right.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Now, I think our Chris Gould joined Toastmasters at age 4 or something like that. Was that about leadership? What got you into this operation?
Yes, my story is a little bit different than most because, yes, I gave my first icebreaker speech as a junior Toastmistress at age 12. That was because in my grade school, my teacher, in those days, you had one teacher for all year in 4th grade. Her name was Lillian Smith, and she was a devoted member of the Toastmistress Club in Anchorage, Alaska, which is where I was. They did not allow women in Toastmasters in those days. And she just loved being a mentor. She loved pushing her kids, and she pushed me to join the junior Toastmistress auxiliary that she started. And I did love it. I have often wondered if that experience is why during high school, I didn't just join a exchange. I became president. I didn't just join the marching team. I became the captain. And maybe it was Toastmasters that made that happen. So I look for Toastmasters Club wherever I go. I joined one when I was a lawyer in California, and when I moved back to Florida, I found Earlybirds, and I'm so glad I did.
Right. All right. Well, let's see. I think I have held all 7 officer roles. I was particularly bad at public relations and can't seem to escape VP education. I don't remember my first role, but I can look it up on the website, I think. But, what got me into leadership? It's like somebody dragged me kicking and screaming because I didn't used to be a leader. I was a kid in the back of the room doing stuff like that. Randolph, what's gotten you into leadership, huh?
Well, being asked, and I don't mind a challenge personally. So when the opportunity came, I'm not a person that would be first to jump to a leadership role. That's just, I guess, my personality. But if called upon, I am usually willing to take on whatever challenge life brings. So yeah, I'm just going to, and I learn from them all. So I'll just continue to look out for life, and when it needs me, I'll be there, and it'll be well. Thank you.
All right. All right. Well, looking around, I look at Toastmaster Richmond. Have you ever not been a leader? I mean, you got into this Toastmasters thing.
Mr. Barkley, I was not a leader. I was so backward when I first joined Toastmasters. And that's one of the reasons that I did join, because I had attended a reunion a few months before that, and I stumbled and fumbled my own self-introduction. But it was because of Virginia Hedinger that I even became involved in leadership. My first role at Earlybird Toastmasters in a leadership position was taking over the president role when Glenn Backus was transferred out of town. And it was just a thing that happened after that. I don't know. I think what's his name was wrong when he says if you're a leader, you lose your soul because you're so egotistical. I don't think that was the case, but it certainly did open me up.
Great. And then Chris, she's already told us she's been leading since whenever. Tell us about your leadership with Toastmasters.
Well, to me, leadership isn't about so much as being the top person or wanting to be the top person. It's about being fully alive, just joining things and being an observer doesn't get you the full benefit. It's when you do volunteer to take on positions that you really learn and grow and experience fully. Yes, I did say that during high school and my early business years, I jumped at the opportunities to take on leadership roles. I'm afraid that now in my later years, I am very hesitant to take on any leadership roles. But I love this Earlybird Toastmasters so much that when there was the need for the public relations, I raised my hand.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Leadership. What have I gained from this? I think Randolph was saying how a lot of things that you start struggling with to learn become habits after a while. I've accumulated a bunch of habits from all this stuff. Randolph, did you actually say that, or am I just giving you credit for my thoughts?
Well, I said that I'm working on it becoming my second nature, because right now I do have to think about the things that I learned before, in order to display them. So it is getting better. So I do appreciate you all and look forward to continue this journey. And hopefully I'm learning just as long as you're learning, and everyone.
Great, great. Chris, what do you think about that?
Well, Toastmasters is an excellent place to get your feet wet with leadership because they have this training. It's a really good organization. It's been around a long time. They've figured it out. They've made these roles, and then they have the, what is it, TLI, Toastmaster Leadership Institute, which I am just always all for learning anything new. And the TLIs that teach you how to do the certain leadership roles are really excellent. It's improves your life to join in on these things.
Now, I've heard it said that in the Toastmasters business model is that they take someone who is unqualified for a leadership role and put them in it. And after a year, when they've learned it, they replace them with somebody else who is unqualified. Have you seen that going on, Alita?
Well, as a matter of fact, leadership role. Why would I want to do that? Because I do not have the expertise. But as it's been pointed out, we learn and grow as we go. And then, of course, we turn the reins over to someone else who is not fully qualified. But that's how they become fully qualified, is to jump in there and learn and grow as they go. So yeah, that's the way it works.
Yeah. Let's see, a fellow Toastmaster with a refractory attitude on pathways. I think of my friend Chris. Have you looked at this level 5 stuff? Because I've been amazed. Some of it's actually pretty good leadership stuff.
I look to you to drag me kicking and screaming into this stuff, and we do appreciate you. No, I have not looked at the level 5. I think I'm almost ready though in my path. So okay, Kip.
You could also start another path and just knock that one off in your spare time. Let's see, I see in there is leading the panel discussion, working in a volunteer organization, working with a guidance committee, bunch of stuff there. A lessons learned session where you get a bunch of people together, like a Toastmasters club at the end of the year. And what anybody learn around here? Hey, Randolph, is any of that interesting to you?
Yes, it's all interesting. And as I said earlier, as far as learning, I mean, Toastmaster Chris Gould just mentioned a few things that I'm not familiar with, the Toastmaster Learning Institute and things of that nature, which I will look into because that is pretty cool. And yes, thank you.
Hey, Toastmasters Leadership Institute. Why, Alita, I remember when you were a member of our club, but in Pennsylvania, I tried to send you to a Toastmasters leadership in Pennsylvania because we made you secretary, which we thought was crucial, but you needed training. And I found one 70 miles away, and they're all set to invite you over. You remember that? Whatever happened?
Toastmaster. Kit Barkley, yes, you are amazing, but I thank you. Yes, that's absolutely true. Y'all gave me an office when I wasn't even there, but I can't remember if I went to the leadership training here. I may have. And of course, everything is far away up here. But the fact is, Kit Barkley, you have kept me in the loop all these many long years that I've been away from you all in Florida. And I appreciate it so much because the last 2 years have been a treasure for me.
All right. The rest of this panel thing is that we open it up for a question and answer. You guys in the audience can ask anyone on the panel or me anything it suits you. So it's like a big table topics. Go for it. Unmute and shout it out. But he blank stares. You guys aren't that shy. Come on.
Anybody on the panel? Which type of leadership style, and there are several styles, encourages and makes you feel willing and eager to participate and play? Is it a strong, coercive leadership style? Is it a laissez-faire leadership style? Is it a encouraging, supportive leadership? So some people, everybody has a different personality.
I'll take that.
Great. Why don't we have both? Go ahead.
Okay. I think that the most effective leadership style, or at least my leadership style, is supportive. I do believe in the lead from behind. You know, I'm not going to show you the way. I want to give you the inspiration and then support you as you go in the direction that hopefully I want to go. When I was president of a business, a company, I rejected the organizational chart that has the president at the top and then all the people down at the bottom. No, I thought, for example, your salespeople were the ones that were at the top. They were your face to the world. And then you had all the people that worked there. And then you, as president, your job was to support everybody else. So that's my view of leadership style.
Yeah.
I would like to add to that. That's very good, Chris. I would like to add to that. My pops used to always say, a good leader must know how to follow. And by that, he meant that a leader needs to know the members that he leads and to understand what their needs and desires. And that is how you lead, is to follow their desires, I think.
More questions from the audience.
I'm sorry, I have to jump in again. We've had so many different presidents, so many different styles. Some, stick in your head. So those of you who remember Virginia Hedinger, her leadership style was what I would call the kindergarten teacher style. And she was effective. one of the things about Virginia Hedinger, it was very difficult for her to accept people trying to make her better. She was a kindergarten teacher all the way through. And she was a lovable person. She helped this group, and another group became world champion group for many years because of her leadership style. But the different personalities have different effects. Those of you who remember may want to comment about that.
Definite school marm. Way back before women were allowed in Toastmasters, they would have joined and used their first initials and not their name, so that the local club was saying silly rule and national didn't know what we were up to.
Yes, and I believe that since Virginia was not, women were not allowed in Toastmasters, that's how I believe the Venetian Club came about, because she said, okay, don't let me in, I'll start my own club. And it became so successful that they had to finally come to their senses and let women come into the club. Great variety.
Yeah.
However, that group did fall apart.
Without Virginia, what can I say?
All good things come to an end.
And I just looked up the Toastmasters officers. The first record online is 2002-3, and Mary Helen Day was president. Chris Gould was treasurer. I remember Fred Herdeen, who was vice president of education. The other folks, I don't remember, but enough nostalgia. One more question on all of this. Val, what do you think of all this stuff? Ask these people something. You're a leader, come on.
I am really just interested in the structure of it. As I listen, it sounds like it has a wonderful model for training. And when you mentioned level 5 and listed some of the elements of level 5, I wondered, what are the other levels? What are the preceding levels? So I wasn't going to ask a question. I was going to go online later and try to find that out. But how have those levels affected the leadership strategies?
Anybody on the panel?
Well, I think that every step is a step toward growth. When you take a position, even at a Toastmasters meeting, when you are the Toastmaster of the day, you're essentially leading the meeting, and that helps develop skills. Every role that we play in the Toastmasters meeting helps one to become a better leader, because you develop your listening skills, which is not an easy thing to do. But the various levels in the pathways, they get a little bit more challenging as you go.
Yes, they do. Well, we're about to be challenged by time. The first, let's see, level 1 is introduction to Toastmasters. Level 2 is introspection on mentoring and how you communicate and talk, things like that. 3 is all the fun stuff of telling stories and visual aids and convincing people. And then 4 starts getting into projects, and 5 has heavy projects. And I got a bunch of those still piled up. But that's enough of that. We're going to have elections later. I remember all this. Back to the Toastmaster of the day, Anna.
Good job. Thank you, Toastmaster Barkley. And yes, very, very educational, very instructive, and a good reminder now for the elections coming up. What are we going to be fulfilling? Participation is key to harmony. Okay. So, Mr. Timer, how did our speakers do?
Madam Toastmasters, our speakers did well. Tom qualifies at 5 minutes and 57 seconds. So he did very well with that. And Kip with his panel went to 14 and 18 seconds. But with the question and answer, he was within the time frame of 7 minutes, 7:01. That's the report.
So does he qualify?
Well, I'm not really sure, but I think so. I just got the
Yeah.
thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
He
We
qualifies.
Thank
used up 20 minutes or so we did
And
that.
that's what leadership's all about. See?
Thank you. Okay, so please vote for best speaker and send your little notes to our speakers today. Okay, with that, I will introduce our general evaluator for the day, which is Toastmaster Randolph Bastine. Toastmaster Bastine, it's all yours.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. The purpose of evaluations is to allow the speaker to get feedback on the highlighted topics that they really shined in and some of the topics where they can polish up. We have timing requirements for the evaluations. Toastmaster Jose Ferrer, can you give us those requirements?
Yes, absolutely. The evaluations are between 2 and 3 minutes with a 30-second deviation at the beginning or at the end. I will turn on the green light at 2 minutes, the amber at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and the red light at 3 minutes, and I will start flashing at 3:45. Back to you.
Thank you. And evaluating our first speaker, Toastmaster Tom Quinn, is our timer, Toastmaster Jose Ferrer. Thank you.
Tom, what a great speech. It shows me that you listen, learn, and implement. I remember your speech from 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it seemed to be kind of all over the place. You had a lot of stuff going on, but today you narrowed it down very, very precisely to 3 examples of tribal situations, and they were very effective. You talked about one where the Indian was not recognized by the people up in New York, and he went on to be a very successful engineer, I think you said. The second one was a gentleman that is in the news often for many reasons, and you were very, very good at just giving the facts. I really like that. You didn't give your opinion on it. You didn't throw in a lot of political stuff. You just gave the facts, and you allowed us to make our own conclusions. Fantastic. Very effective way to present a speech. I also like the third person, the teacher out of Nebraska in Broward. One of the very effective things that you did with your vocal variety is when you became the group of individuals who would not accept them, you purposely used improper grammar, kind of to point the way as to how uneducated these folk were back then. And I thought that was very, very effective as well. Your appearance is very good as usual. Your body's well centered. The lighting is very good. I know in the past we've talked about lighting in the face and things like that, kind of like what I have right now, half here, half there, but I'm not the speaker. You are. And you've done that very, very well today. Your directness and assurance are fantastic. You're very poised. You speak very slowly, but very powerful. So it's easy to understand what you're saying. Your enunciation of the words is very good, easy for people to understand your speech and your message. Improvement? There's not much to improve, Tom. You're doing great. The only plausible thing that I could think that distracts me a little bit when I'm watching your speech is, and again, it's a very difficult thing to resolve, but there is a glare on your glasses from the lights coming at it. And I understand that's very difficult to resolve. I believe in TV stations and things like that. They use special lighting. They do a lot of different things to avoid that when the speaker or the person has glasses. But that's the only thing I can fault. I think it was a fantastic speech, and I thank you for that. Back to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jose Ferrer. Now evaluating our second speaker, distinguished Toastmaster Kip Barkley, is Toastmaster Tom Quinn.
Well done, Kip. Well done, panel. I like the way you first laid out why you became a member of Toastmasters and what it did for you, Kip. And you were very open and direct. You always are when you talk. I don't want to say like a grandfather, but very welcoming, very open, very approachable, sweet, if that is okay to say. I ordinarily wouldn't use that word because you are a bit of a curmudgeon from time to time. And when we get our talks together about other things, they certainly can get off target, but they certainly are an awful lot of fun. But here you brought that joy and that fun here to this group. And what I particularly liked was how well and how easily you led each one, invited each one to open up in their own way what their purpose was, what they first saw, what attracted them, then why did they do it, what they got out of it, and how they feel about this group, Toastmasters. And I think the way you handled it, you gave each person an opportunity to express themselves. It's a complex deal you had, dealing with people, different genders, different education, different purposes, coming from different places, different locuses, and you just let that all flower together. You didn't mix it. You let everyone participate. Your observations, I thought, were very good, very cogent. You sort of shepherded everyone to a mutual conclusion of this is really a good deal. And indeed it is. And leadership is really important. And how you can learn here and take those experiences into your own life. So I appreciate the job that you did. You did well. The panel members were outstanding. You guys are really interesting. And thank you so much. I'm not here to criticize because there's not much I can say. But thank you so much for showing us how it's done.
Thank you, Toastmaster Tom Quinn. And now I'll call upon the timer. Did everyone meet the timing requirements?
Yes, everybody met the timing requirements. Tom was at 2 minutes and 51 seconds, and I was at 2 minutes and 59 seconds. Both qualify.
Thank you. And if you all can vote, there's the poll. There we go. And as you all vote, I will call upon the grammarian for our grammarians report.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Everybody used quite effectively the word of the day, refractory. That was great. During table topics, highlights, Carmine, I am not a leader, I am a facilitator. Becky Jo Bean, since I was a little kid, I have not been compliant and I always run on the other side of the rules. Val, leadership is overrated. a tough one. We just went through how wonderful it is and important. Tom Quinn. Well, I'll just say that somebody made a very sexist remark when he pointed out that because his legs, he could make a good secretary. Honestly, she is a phenomenal addition to our group. Everybody did great. Everybody did great, but I'm going to give the award today to Anna Ilsen for her statement. Participation is key to harmony. Absolutely. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Alita Richmond. And now if we could have our all counters report.
Yes, Mr. General Evaluator. These are the transgressors for today that I heard. Toastmaster Becky Jo Bean had 2 ahs and 1 you know. Toastmaster Val had 2 ahs. Toastmaster Tom had 3 ahs and 1 double clutch. I had 1 ah, 2 you knows, and 1 so. Toastmaster Randolph had 4 ahs, and Toastmaster Chris Gould had 1 you know. That's my report.
Thank you. And now to evaluate the entire meeting. Everything started out great and it continued on far as our openings, our invocation, and as usual in Early Birds Toastmaster style, we filled every role because everyone's always willing to step up. This is a great place to learn leadership. And we had our awesome invocation to put us in place for the rest of the week. Our self-introductions, table topics was awesome, all about leadership. The quality of our speeches as our evaluators spoke, they were all great and not a lot of room for improvement because they were both good. Evaluations, they were great as well. So we thank you, the evaluators, for that. And both evaluators, especially because they took on multiple roles. We had Toastmaster Jose Ferrer doing the timing and evaluations. Toastmaster Tom Quinn was actually a speaker and an evaluator. And Toastmaster Anna Ilsen is always excellent in every role she plays, and she's so witty. So it's always fun to have a role from Toastmaster Anna Ilsen. And far as any suggestions for improvement, especially for today, I have nothing to say because we had a small team and we all stepped up, and it was awesome. So thank you all, and I will return control of the meeting to our Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Now comes the important moment of the awards. Best table topics goes to the man with good legs, Toastmaster Tom Quinn. Best evaluator, again, that man with good legs, Tom Quinn. And best speaker award goes to distinguished Toastmaster Kip Barkley. Okay, I will return control of the meeting to our presiding officer, Toastmaster Kip Barkley.
You might want to
Kip, you're muted.
And I got the flag in my face. Yeah, all right. Good meeting. All this district conference. You can go to the district website, toastmastersd47.org, and maybe find a way in. I have signed up a couple of times. I will go find what I've got and share. I think there's two separate signups, one for the business meeting where we vote for elections, and the other one for the general mayhem. We are electing our Fab Three and a bunch of other things. They're going to redistrict the clubs. What they do is they look around and say who's still around, what clubs are here, and then they divide them up so the area director only has one struggling club and not five. That's how they do that, just to make it fair, if they can. So that's going on. I will send that out. That's what I said last time. But then we have sign up. We have a full slate next week for a regular meeting. People will perhaps be back. I don't know where they all went. I didn't get invited to that party. Who wants to do what next week?
Kip, I'm actually going to be out next week.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, and I will open things up unless a ghoul beats me. We never know quite what they'll be doing.
We're going to be in Italy, and the time zone works, and we will have computer with us, and so we might be able to, but I can't promise.
Yeah, and the show must go on. So come in as host and bump me or do whatever you do, you know. I'm very gracious when I have usurped mostly the time and all that. So I'm still looking for Toastmasters and general evaluators and speakers, and a lot of people are missing. Who wants to do what next week? Deafening silence.
I'll evaluate.
Carmine will evaluate.